Good morning, I'm Neil Lachlan MacDonald, Minister of Lochbroom and Coigach Free Church. What is it to live the Christian life? Well, I suppose we could boil it down to a walk with God. We walk with God through our lives. That's essentially what the Christian faith is. It's following Jesus. It's walking with God. Often the Bible uses the term walk to mean your manner of life, the behavior, the lifestyle that you cultivate. Colossians 2, as you received Christ, so walk in him. Galatians 5, walk in the Spirit. 1 John 1, walk in the light. 2 Corinthians 5, we walk by faith, not by sight. For the Christian, faith becomes the lens through which we see everything. Our decisions, our struggles, our future. But sometimes it's hard to see clearly where we're moving. Last month we were down in London and there were pigeons everywhere. Can't say I'm a huge fan of pigeons. But something that is fascinating about pigeons is the way in which they walk, the way in which they move. Somebody once explained that pigeons can't focus whilst moving. So they walk and stop, step, stop, step, stop. They pause in order to refocus, and that's why they jerk their heads side to side like they do. And honestly, we're not actually that different to the pigeon, spiritually speaking. Often we can't see while we're rushing, and the Lord sometimes wants to slow us down, to stop, to be still, and to know that I am God. Well, with that in mind, let's turn back this week to Hebrews 11 and to the great hall of faith and this gallery, this portrait gallery of those who demonstrated and who were commended for their faith. And tucked into this list, second on it, is a man who barely gets a mention anywhere else, Enoch. And we see that in verse 5. By faith, Enoch was taken from this life so that he did not experience death. He could not be found because God had taken him away. For before he was taken, he was commended as one who pleased God. And without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists, and he rewards those who earnestly seek him. Let's just look at three things briefly this morning: the life of Enoch, the legacy of Enoch, and the lessons of Enoch. First then, the life of Enoch. And could we say it was a simple walk? If you go back and read Genesis 5, you'll find a chapter where the phrase is repeated, and he died, and he died, and he died. It's the story of humanity under the curse of death. But then in that chapter at verse 21, there is an exception. It's Enoch. When Enoch had lived 65 years, he became the father of Methuselah. After he became the father of Methuselah, Enoch walked faithfully with God 300 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Enoch lived a total of 365 years. Now, Enoch didn't build an ark like Noah did. He didn't found cities like others. He was just what we might call an ordinary man. But he had an extraordinary relationship. His relationship was with God, the one with whom he walked. And it was a consistent walk. He walked with him 300 years. It was after Methuselah was born. There was a turning point. Something changed. Perhaps for Enoch it was the process of becoming a father. Perhaps it was realizing how dark the world was becoming. But at some point Enoch decided, he resolved, he determined, I'm going to walk with God. And he did. For nearly 300 years. Not a weekend, not a season, but a lifetime, a long life. It was a consistent walk. It was a courageous walk, because it was against the prevailing current of the day. Enoch lived in a corrupt world, so corrupt that the Lord would soon send a flood to wipe out the earth, and we'll perhaps look at that next time, God willing. But Enoch didn't follow the crowd. Because a person who walks with God doesn't necessarily always go with the crowd if the crowd is going in the wrong direction. Indeed, faith often means going against the flow. We must go against the flow. So it was a a consistent walk. It was a courageous walk. It was a continuing walk and a continuing life. There was that unique end to Enoch's earthly life in that he didn't die. The Lord took him. One day he's walking with God on this earth. The next he's with God in his kingdom. No funeral, no grave, just a sudden, immediate transfer from earth to heaven. So we see the life of Enoch. Secondly, we see the legacy of Enoch. His testimony was that he was somebody who pleased God. He was commended as one who pleased God. What a summary. What an epitaph. What a way to be described. He wasn't described as somebody who built something great or achieved something impressive, but he pleased God. And here's the key. To walk with God is the same as to please God. They're not two different things. Early spirituality wasn't complicated. It wasn't about systems, ceremony, or ritual. It was about relationship. Adam walked with God. Enoch walked with God. Noah walked with God. Abraham was told to walk before God. That's the essence of faith. Not a weekly visit, not a religious routine, but a daily, ongoing relationship. I wonder, are you walking with God? Before anything or anyone else, are you walking with the Lord? Are you somebody who could be summarized by that same summary that Enoch was? That he was one commended as one who pleased God. He pleased God. So we see the legacy of Enoch. Thirdly, we see the lessons of Enoch. Without faith, it is impossible to please God, it says in verse 6. Two truths. One, we must believe that God is not just a God, but the one true living God. Faith begins with recognizing that God is real. And we must recognize that he is a rewarder, that he's not distant, impersonal, or disengaged, but that he responds and he rewards those who earnestly or diligently seek him. That means God is knowledgeable, personal, and responsive to those who call out upon him. Are you walking with the Lord this morning like Enoch was? Or are you just busy with life, distracted, spiritually rushed? Maybe there's distractions or habits or noise that you need to consider and maybe step away from. Enoch's life tells us, don't complicate things. You don't need something spectacular. You just require something consistent. Walk with the Lord. Live to please him. Do it daily. And then one day, like Enoch, your walk will never end. It will simply continue in the presence of God forever.